But all right, though, let's see what Joe King got to say.
Was Iran on the verge of getting a nuclear weapon?
No, they weren't.
Shout out Jet. Shadow Ban Fit CNN BS 100% MAGA approval narrative. Bro, I would say the same thing. I mean, like Sid kind of super chatting about it a little bit ago, and I was just like, bro, that's impossible. Even me and Monty was like debating it on X, and I was just like, Monty, look, I know you want to see that there is overwhelming support for this war, but 100% MAGA, bro. I mean, dog, you're smart enough to see through that. And I know Monty, he's smart enough to see through that. Like, really, 100% when I'm right here in front of you as MAGA telling you that I don't agree with this. When we got people, Kenneth Owens, Tucker Carlson, like all these other MAGA influencers who don't support this, we just don't exist now. That's propaganda. And that's basically painting us like a cult. Because now you're pretty much trying to say that we are just going along with it because we're MAGA. No, the fuck we're not. There's plenty of people, over 1 million plus, that don't agree with this. That's in MAGA. And now they're just throwing us under the rug just to go ahead and say, oh, no, it's 100% approval rating. And if you're not, don't approve of it, I guess you're just not MAGA. Bro, this is propaganda. This is brainwashing at its highest. Because they're literally saying that, well, no, this war is good. War's good. When MAGA used to be war is bad. So, like, and here's the thing. I know that's what you guys are going to tell. No, so we're not trying to say war is good. Well, yes, you are. Because you guys were anti-war, no nation building, no regime change, and all this good stuff. Now, here's the Iran war with no goals in sight, but they were talking about regime change, nation building in the beginning, and you guys ain't calling it out. If anything, you're trying to create excuses like, oh, well, Iran was a threat for 47 years. They weren't an imminent threat. Sure, they were an adversary, but they weren't an imminent threat to the United States, and that is what they went off of. So let's not play stupid here and bring up, oh, well, they've been a threat for 47 years. That don't matter. I'm sorry, it don't. We're talking about an imminent threat. But like I said, it is what it is. I'm gonna go ahead and have to deal with this with the MAGA crowd because, well, I'm in it, and I ain't leaving. Man, they ain't gonna kick me out just because we disagree. Because I'm gonna be real with you, that's when it truly becomes a cult. When y'all not allowing anybody in there who disagrees with you because you just want to believe in Trump so bad. And I get that. I get it. We all put our bets in on the man, but you got to admit when things aren't looking good, or else you're just going to be delusional and you're just going to walk the country off a cliff. Just like they did with Biden. And bro, the same thing we're doing now is what the Dems did. Bro, any Democrat that was calling out the failing economy under Biden, they pushed that man out. Any Dem who called out Biden's health, they pushed that man out. Now, look what you and MAGA doing right now. Anybody that calls out the war, you pushing them out. Anybody that calls out Trump, you pushing them out. You're doing the same fucking thing.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago when this started.
Was Iran on the verge of getting a nuclear weapon?
No, they weren't, 3 weeks ago when this started, and they weren't in June either. I mean, the Iranians have had a religious ruling, a fatwa, against actually developing a nuclear weapon since 2004. That's been in place since 2004. That's available in the public sphere. But then also we had no intelligence to indicate that fatwa was being disobeyed or it was on the cusp of being lifted. The Iranian strategy, it's actually pretty pragmatic. The Iranians are obviously aware of what's taking place in their region. And their strategy was to not completely abandon their nuclear program because they saw what happened to Muammar Gaddafi in Libya when he said, hey, I've got no more nukes. I'll do what you say. I'll give up my nukes.
And we gave him the Nobel Peace Prize?
Yeah, that's also a good point, too. Like, give up your nukes. Give up your ballistic weapons. What, like Muammar Gaddafi so you can just come in and destabilize Iran? Like, that's what I'm saying. It's almost like I said, these guys who just said, oh, well, they should have went along with the deal. I mean, do you not know history? You like what? You think these Arab countries, but these Muslim countries, they ain't sit around and watch what we did to Libya, watch what we did to other Muslim countries? Like, really? You ain't think they see now? Well, Gaddafi gave up his weapons and did everything the Americans said, and look what happened to him. Exactly. I mean, bro, we don't leave any good examples for these people to go off of. I mean, we're not even like negotiating in good faith. Like, I don't even know what we're doing in the Middle East most of the time. It don't make sense. Like, and it's not for our interests. And it just can't be because we can't even define a clear goal. Oh, and shout out to my man Sid. He says CNN said 100 approval rate for Trump among Republicans that identify as MAGA. Yeah. He said it. He pretty much said 100% of MAGA approves of this. So he's pretty much saying, yes, Republicans who identify MAGA is at 100% approval, which would be me. And I'm not at approval. But he said 90% approval rating for the war. You also missed my last super chat. I did. Whoops. Let's see here. Oh, here it is. He said, you should play the thing I sent you a couple of days ago. It's funny. It's a funny edit. All right, I got you.
Actually, regime changed him, and he was, executed by his own people in the most horrific way.
Sodomized by a bayonet. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the lesson I think that the entire region took from that when Hillary Clinton.
Unfortunately, that is what the neocon, neoliberal warmongers, that's the lesson that they showed everyone in the region. And then conversely, the Iranians also knew that if they came out and said, okay, we've got a nuke, whether they were bluffing or not, Saddam Hussein, Iraq right next door. So they kind of had this,
hung, I think.
He was hung by his own people, after a bloody, war that's still essentially going on inside of Iraq. So the Iranians' position, when viewed from the lens of the region, was actually fairly pragmatic. They were preventing, themselves from developing a bomb, but they still wanted the ability. They wanted the ability to enrich. They wanted the ability to have some components so that they weren't completely stripped of it. And when we all assessed that they were either several months or a year, 2 years away from actually being able to develop a nuclear weapon, and that's not because the Iranians are stupid people. I think we can tell right now that the Iranians are anything but stupid. They had the ability, I think, that the brain power to actually develop one, or they could have simply traded a ton of oil with Pakistan or someone else to actually get a nuclear weapon. They were not doing it.
And here's the thing, guys. So guess what? Iran wasn't going to attack us. Like honestly, think about this. And this is the problem with people. People radicalize the Iranian people. They radicalize the Iranian people to these people that are so bloodthirsty for America that they just can't wait to bomb us. And no, that's not true. The only reason why they yell death to America is because we've been interfering in their politics forever now. Forever. And they're tired of it and they hate it and they feel like we don't want, and they know that we're not in it for their best interest. That's the reason why. Honestly, Iran just want to be left the fuck alone. Like, that's it. That's all. Iran don't want to attack us. They don't want to nuke us. And I'm be honest with you, if they did, then they'd have rushed towards it already. Like I said, they have multiple ways they could have went towards a nuke. Multiple ways. Like I said, they could have traded oil for a nuke or asked China or Russia for nuclear protection or Pakistan for nuclear protection. They could have kissed up to a nuclear power and got that same result. So if Iran really wanted to go towards a nuclear weapon, they'd have went toward 90% uranium, and they could have done that in secret. But the problem is, we'd have been able to see the moving of materials, the radiation, and all that weeks before they was able to actually get to a bomb. So that's the thing. When people say they were 2 weeks away from a bomb, well, there's no intelligence showing that whatsoever. There's no moving of materials, no high marks of radiation in a certain spot. None of that. None of that. Actually, as he says, there is a religious law that says that we are not allowed to make nukes because it is inhumane, which they got a point. So all of this, they're just waiting to bomb us. They're just waiting to hit us. That's a lie just to sell you the war. It's a lie.
We had no intelligence to indicate that they were.
Then why was the president, was he told that they were on the brink of it? Why at the beginning of every conversation about Iran would the president say, I don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon? Why was that the central question when, and you would know since you were the director of the National Counterterrorism Center, why would he say that if there was no intelligence or evidence that they were actually developing a nuke?
Mm-hmm. So a couple things. This is what I talk about in the letter about this ecosystem of information that's laundered through a lot of prominent neoconservative types that are very sympathetic to the Israeli cause, and then also Israeli government officials who give us things in semi-official channels. What they did was they created basically a shifting red line or a new red line. So that if the president's red line was Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, we've actually got a lot of trade space in there for a deal to be made. Because of what I just described with the Iranian policy, essentially the Iranians saying, okay, well, we don't want a nuclear weapon. Well, that means we basically are at a point where we can start negotiating and we can come up with a deal. And the president is a fantastic deal maker. So if your goal is to move us away from any kind of deal and your goal is to move us into a conflict, you have to shift that red line. And that's where a lot of this I would say, what became a de facto U.S. policy of Iran can have no nuclear enrichment. It was laundered through a lot of the different talking heads, Mark Levin, Mark Dubowitz. You've got the Foundation.
Yeah, that is true. It went from they can't have no nuclear weapons to no nuclear enrichment, which is fair because I mean that's how you get to a nuclear weapon is through nuclear enrichment. But the problem is though that we didn't try to honestly negotiate with them when it came to their nuclear enrichment. We try to say that, oh well, we want you to stop doing no enrichment, you get no ballistic missiles, and you got to stop your proxies. And let's be real, at that point, there's really no negotiating, and that's not negotiation. That's just us threatening them at that point, telling them what they better do or else.
For the defense of democracies, you name it. Washington, D.C. has plenty of pro-Israeli lobbyists who will come and say those things, who will publish think pieces on it, who will go on the media, who will run.
And if you don't know who Joe Kent is, I'll go ahead and do this again. This guy, Joe Kent, I ain't gonna lie, he's number one when it comes to, well, this type of intelligence. Like, this is like, look, let's go over all of his positions. He was the 75th Ranger Regiment, whatever, Army Special Forces. Let's see here, Intelligence Support Activity and Special Activities Center. And pretty much, this guy was basically CIA. This man's been working in intelligence for a while. He fought these Iranian proxies. He's fought against the very people that he's basically saying that we don't need to be in war with them. So it's kind of funny how people are trying to come out here and say, oh, he don't know what he's talking about. Oh, who is he? Well, he used to work for the Special Activities Center, and it's basically the center of the United States, well, CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency. So yes, he was all on top of all these intelligence on the ground operations to get intelligence on Iran, like Syria, like Lebanon. He's that guy you go to. He was the top guy. Intelligence support is like this guy was known for working out field operations, study and analysis activity, tactical concept activity. These are the guys who literally look at these countries, get intel on them, and then tell the president, yo, this is what's going on. If we were to attack them, this is what's to happen. He's that guy. But for some reason, and for some reason, the pro-Israel guys want to pretend like he's just some neocon nobody. And actually, you know what? Let me see here. I know Monty actually sent me a video on X where, because he has some past remarks, right? He has some past remarks where I guess he was pretty much support of the war. And I ain't gonna lie, it's taken a bit out of context, in my opinion. Let's see here. This interview was in August of 2024. So 2 years ago, right? 2 years ago. And this is what they're dinging him on right now.
They're still registering for the draft.
Yep. And I mean, here's the thing. I'm not sure where they was going with this. He's like, you mean disintelligence? There's 3 months ago, it wasn't 3 months ago. Jay Kent laid out on Sean Ryan's shows just how much of an enemy and a threat Iran is. This is how delusional some of these guys are. Did he really lay out how much of a threat Iran was? He just pretty much laid out how there's pretty much a power struggle in Iraq, how we have our influence in there and they have their influence and are kind of just clashing with each other. As I said, it's a tit for tat game. Didn't really prove how Iran's a threat, though, to us, an imminent threat to the United States, how they can attack the United States at any time. I mean, all they showed that, well, they can attack Iraq. And I mean, it is right next to them, so duh.
You know, op-eds in the Wall Street Journal to talk about this, why they can't have any enrichment whatsoever. And then we have a high degree of engagement with Israeli government officials who will come in and say, well, they're enriching and they could enrich.
Hey, yo, and shout out to my man Noah. He says, if they want to wage a war, then our leaders can go in and fight other leaders 1v1, then watch how many new wars start. Literally. You know what? I guarantee you, if to be a politician, you have to sign your kids up, or to be president, or any politician, you have to sign your kids up for the army. It has to be done, or you're not allowed to be a politician. That should be a new rule. Because I guarantee you, they're not going to sit there and look at their kid and be like, yeah, let's send this into a senseless war with no goal. And let me send my kid in there too. Guarantee you they won't do it. I guarantee you if Barron Trump was going into this war, Donald Trump would be like, whoa, hold on now. Let's just kill this right now. I'm sorry, my bad, guys. I was tripping. Like, yeah, I think at this point, bro, we need to make it a law. Like, you know what? You can't be in politics unless you got some skin in the game. Some real skin in the game. Either your kids, your wife, your husband is going to go to war if you want to go ahead and support it. You got to have some skin in the game. Because all the, like Lindsey Graham, he ain't got no kids. Bro ain't even got a wife or nobody. He ain't got nobody in his life. Like, this man, that I can see why he supports war. Mark Levin, I mean, he got 2 stepsons, and they ass ain't gonna go out there and fight no damn war. So, bro, these guys ain't got no skin in the game. Talking to the people trying to shame you who has skin in the game, who has family member that's gonna go out there and tell you that you're an American for caring about those people. Like, it's insane.
Or they could enrich more, and that will get them closer to a nuclear weapon. So then enrichment basically became the new U.S.
That was funny. He's like, maybe Iran shouldn't have put their country so close to our military bases, which I'm sorry, that's funny. It is, because I've actually heard somebody say that. I think they were saying it jokingly, but it was still funny when they said it.
Policy. And the only official I've heard, and folks are welcome to look for this, that actually that said this in the first Trump administration was Mike Pompeo. He said it. The president didn't say it. The president has been very consistent. He said they can't have a nuclear weapon. But again, like I said, that puts us at a place where we actually could have negotiations. And only President Trump, I think, could successfully have negotiations with Iran, because he actually punched them in the face. And the Iranians had been walking all over us. They had been killing our soldiers. All of that is true. I have no sympathy whatsoever for the Iranians, what their proxies were doing. President Trump level set that when he killed Qasem Soleimani and he killed Abu Mahdi Mohandas. The folks who wanted to push an actual regime change war in Iran knew this, and they knew there was a potential to get a deal, or there was a potential for President Trump just to continue the policy of maximum pressure sanctions. And if you come after us, we will hit you hard. And that got the protesters out on the street in Iran. And that's actually what the regime feared the most. I don't think the Ayatollah feared dying, not because he, is some crazy lunatic. I'm sure some degree of the Shia martyrdom culture played a factor in that. However, I think he knew that if he was killed, the regime would survive, because the people would rally around the regime.
I believe you predicted this,
I know. And I mean, all the delusional people want to be like, no, if we take out them, then the protesters will come and they'll take over their establishments, and we'll have feminism in Iran, guys, and they'll be in the streets doing the Trump dance. It's like, oh my God. Like, oh Lord, bro. The people who actually believe that crap, man, I mean, bro, get help. It's almost sad that people actually believe that bull crap. Like, oh man.
Some years ago, I think we're watching. I mean, it's hard to know exactly what we're watching, but it's
like, here's the thing. Like, for some reason, people don't really have too much, I guess, perspective. They can't see things through other people's lenses. Like, and if you look from the Iranian lens and you try to look from that, like, yeah, if somebody kill y'all leader and start bombing all over your country, you're not going to see those guys as your saviors. And even if you don't like the country, you may still like the people, and the people in that country are now being bombed left and right because you want to call for regime change. Those guys are probably feeling guilty, or now their lives are in danger more than ever. Because, I mean, wow, like, think about it like this. Don't you think they're blaming those protesters as for one of the reasons why their school got bombed, as to why they're getting attacked right now? Because there's people cheering in the streets, asking the president to bomb Iran. Now, you don't think they got anything to do with how these people are being treated there so far? And like I said, there's always going to be a rallying around the flag effect when you take out their leader. I mean, it would be the same thing with us. If somebody took out Trump, even the liberals, a good amount of the liberals, will still be like, hey, yo, no, we need to go take care of them. I don't care if they killed Trump. I don't care. We still got to go take care of these guys. It's like, that's how it is. Like, if somebody killed our leader, we're going to rally around the flag, even if we didn't like the leader. That's the same thing that's going to happen in Iran. Actually, that's the same thing that's happening in Iran as we speak. And more people are being turned over to the government that may have been anti-government through the reckless bombing of Iran. If you don't think that's not converting people over, if you're dumb enough to think that they're cheering in the streets while their country is being bombed and their citizens are being killed, then you're insane. I'm going to be real with you. You're low-key losing it.
Seems consistent with what we are watching. So I'm just focused on this question of imminent threat, because that's really the only justification I think most Americans would accept for a preemptive war.
Certainly.
Otherwise, just like a war of choice done because Bibi told you to, and no one wants to get behind that because it's obviously illegitimate. So imminent threat. You're saying that there was no intelligence that you saw with the highest level clearance, obviously involved in this conversation, that showed an imminent threat from Iran to the United States?
No, unless we took certain actions, unless we came after them in a way that they thought threatened the regime, then we basically knew what they were going to do.
Well, okay,
it's what they're doing.
Right, of course,
right. But like any country, so if you attack any country, we know that they're going to have a reaction.
We face an imminent threat once we attack you.
Fantastic. Yeah, exactly. But there was no intelligence that said, "Hey, on whatever day it was, March 1st, the Iranians are going to launch this big sneak attack. They're going to do some kind of a 9/11 Pearl Harbor, et cetera. They're going to attack one of our bases." There was none of that intelligence. Again, back to what we know about the Iranians.
And let's be real, we have it, bro. We have the Mossad out there on the ground right now in Iran. We have the CIA out there right now in Iran. We have two of the best intelligence agencies out there right now in Iran. How you think we got Khomeini? So yeah, I mean, he's right. He's right. The fact that none of that has came through and we have all this information is a bit strange. It's a bit strange, and it's like I said, this is why I don't believe that Iran was an imminent threat, because it's been told multiple times that Iran is not an imminent threat to the United States. But I mean, Bibi made them an imminent threat once he attacked them. So I guess if you want to use that, then okay. But you're being pretty intellectually dishonest. And a shout out to Sid. He said, Joe Kent says, only Trump could have successfully negotiated with Iran. This is false. Obama successfully negotiated with Iran, and Trump ripped it up. That's true. No, that's true. I always did say, like, ripping up that JCPOA was the worst thing he could have done. And he should have known it was a bad thing when all of the anti-Trumpers start gathering him around him. I mean, look, when your enemies start gathering around you and start giving you that handshake, oh, good job. I like what you did there. That should have been that alert to him, like, hold on. You guys hate me. Now you like me because I ripped up this deal? Like, I wonder why. And why? Because this opened up the gateway to war with Iran. Because if we'd have stayed under this deal, kept the inspectors in there with the IAEA, everything would have been good. And I'm gonna be honest with you, the whole nuclear capability wouldn't be a talking point. It wouldn't have been something they could bring up. And it's funny that they bring it up because we had eyes on their nuclear capabilities. Trump got us out of that. And the only argument that, well, MAGA has, oh, we were giving them money. No, we weren't. Obama didn't give them money. He lifted the sanctions and that released their own money to them. And let's be real, the only reason why Iran was in that deal is because of the lifting of the sanctions. Once Donald Trump ripped up that deal and imposed the sanctions on there, that's when Iran started going past enrichment. I mean, and then, bro, here's a problem. Like, what was it? Like 2019 is when they broke past the 3.6 enrichment. Then in 2020, we killed Soleimani, which escalated things further with Iran. And then they decided to go jump to 60% enrichment of uranium. So there was an escalation ladder with this that a lot of people choose to ignore.
Very, very deliberate with the escalation ladder. And again, they're only deliberate under President Trump's leadership because they knew and they took President Trump very, very seriously.
So, I mean, I just think it's a remarkable thing to nail down because you're not some guy on Twitter. You're a senior, as of yesterday, you were a senior U.S. Intelligence official who's not hostile to President Trump, who's not here to write a tell-all book or launch a media career. Okay. So I think you're a sober voice on this. And just to be clear, there was no intelligence that showed an imminent threat. There was no intelligence that showed they were on the cusp of building a nuclear weapon. There was no intelligence, indeed, that showed they were trying to build a nuclear weapon. And nobody said, I've seen it, but you haven't. It exists, but you just haven't seen it. Did you ever hear anybody say there is intel that shows this?
I did not know, but I know how this works. I know the Israeli officials, some in intelligence, some in government, will come to U.S. government officials, and they will say all kinds of things that we know from our intelligence just simply isn't true. And they'll say, hey, I'm giving you a preview. It's not in intelligence channels yet, but here's what's going to happen. And that doesn't usually come to
wait a second. I mean, I thought that U.S. policymakers.
Oh, God, do me a favor and double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's get more people on the conversation by double tapping that screen and liking the video. And make sure to follow me on Rumble as well.
Made their decisions on the basis of intelligence collected and or vetted by our intelligence. That's why we have intelligence agencies that soak up hundreds of billions a year. But you're saying that Israeli officials short-circuited the entire U.S. government and just went right to American policymakers and said, it doesn't matter what your country says, here's what we know. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, usually they're pretty slick, and they'll say, hey, this isn't in intelligence channels yet because it's going to take some time to get there. And here they're on the cusp of building a bomb. You know, they're going to I don't know, you pick your topic. A lot of times they'll sample different things until they find what sticks. But in general, the narrative about, they're going to do a preemptive attack, or really just they're going to build a nuclear weapon. And if we don't stop them now, they're going to build a nuclear weapon. And enrichment is the pathway to that. They're going to continue enriching at whatever percent. Enrichment became the narrative. And so that hung up and that short circuited and really sabotaged the entire negotiations, because the Iranians basically said, like, we're not going to negotiate if the whole starting point is no enrichment. And again, that had nothing to do with a nuclear weapon, and the Iranians essentially agreed to that. So the Israelis,
yeah, the enrichment of uranium. I mean, yeah, you can get to a nuclear weapon that way, but enriching uranium has other values as well. I mean, power, medical, and all that good stuff. And they're pretty much saying, like, look, like, we'll agree not to ever make a bomb, which they've already agreed to. They already have a religious law, so they're not really giving up anything. But we'll agree to that, but we're gonna enrich. And they believe it as a sovereign country, it's their right to enrich. I mean, and I'm okay with that. I mean, look, if we can just make sure we got an inspection on your enrichment program, and that's all, and we have we have the IAEA in there again, I have no problem with that. None at all. And that's where it should have stick to. And we should have kept that deal under Obama. Like, honestly.
Came in, they moved that red line, and they would do a lot to say, like, oh, they're enriching. And you know what that means? That means in X amount of time, they could have a nuclear bomb. You have to ask now. And then the way the ecosystem would work is that the talking heads on TV, your Mark Levin's, Sean Hannity's, et cetera, they would say basically the exact same thing that night on TV, or there would be a piece written in the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, that would say something very, very similar. Yet, if you looked in classified intelligence, we didn't see any of that.
I mean, that must have been such a weird experience for you.
Bizarre.
Since you have access to the biggest and most powerful and presumably the best intel agencies in the world, and you're seeing people say things as fact when you know that they're not facts.
Right.
Comfort that carries.